All right, what's going on, people? How's everybody doing? Yep, it's an early one. It is an early one. Yep, because I got some things to do. But what I'll probably do is, if I get the people to come up here, they can hold it down for a good 20, 30 minutes. But we're going to go straight into it. No intro music, no nothing. We're going to go straight into the streams and get into the conversation. What is the topic? What is the topic? The topic is the significance of reparations and restitution and the significance. All right, that is the topic. Now, everything, reparations and restitution, and we're going to go through this again, expands. The other part that it was too much verbiage in there was that how can it apply also and continue from forefathers and foremothers, right? Everything that came before us. How can we apply that to today, right? It's called a track record. And we don't deal in statutes and codes, so statute limitations don't apply. All right. So this is what we're talking about right here. So we're going to go back into our law books. We're going to go look up some information, and we'll try to see if we could tie these things together. All right. So remember yesterday, what we was talking about yesterday, outside the HUD. Just let's move that to the side for right now because I'm going to come back on that too as well. I think I'm going to save HUD for tomorrow. I'm going to do a straight on HUD because as we're looking into the history of things to try to see if we could correct the record and get reparations and restitution. In the meantime, there are people that are not on this level that need some streamlined remedies right now, just to make sure them and theirs is taken care of, because this is not a sprint. This is not microwave food. This is going to take a minute in order to get the pieces locked in together. Okay. All right. So without further ado, let's start with the stream.
Ain't nobody worried about no fertilizer. As long as you got weed and baby, you got a bucket. That's all you need. Ain't nobody worried about no fertilizer. Take them weeds. Whatever weeds you got, because they all are full of minerals and vitamins. Straight from the soil, straight from the sun. Take them wild weeds. Put them into a bucket. Put some water into the bucket. Let that sit. Let that sit for like a week or two, baby. You don't need no fertilizer. That's organic, 100% organic, natural grown, wild crafted weeds that you pull up out the ground and put into some water. Fertilizer. Or better yet, you like the fish. Your husband like the fish. Take them fish. Put it into a bucket. Take them fish guts and bones, all of that. Put it into a bucket with some water. Fill it up. Mix it up real good. Fertilize your garden. Ain't nobody worried about no fertilizer. You know what compost is? Compost is the soil that continues to feed your plants. How does it feed your plants? Cause stuff like this. You got your leaves. Then I got my weeds. And I even got some scraps in here. Got worms. Got everything, all kind of living organisms in here. But see what it does is all of that mixed up creates this right here. You see that dark soil? You see that, baby? That's compost. This compost, when I put it into my garden, is going to feed the soil. Ain't nobody worried about nothing. Fertilizer is free, baby. Baby, ain't nobody worried about.
Pay for bleach when God already made it for free. Every time I bought bleach, my spirit got mad. Smell like a swimming pool fighting for its life. And don't let you be broke trying to wash towels, baby. That jug gonna be gone in 2 loads, $5 evaporated. Nah, we not doing that. Let this country girl teach you some chemistry real quick. Pour 3 to 6 cups of hot water in a mason jar. 1/4 cup of washing soda, which ain't nothing but baked baking soda. You wanna stir this right here, baby. That washing soda, basically the hood cousin of baking soda. It's gonna pull the dirt out like it owes you money. Pour 1/4 cup of peroxide, hydroperoxide. This is what makes yourself white. Hospital clean, nurse clean. You know I don't play about clean. Slice you up some lemons and drop the lemons in. And lemon, baby, kill smell. Got your laundry smelling like sunshine and good decision. Be sure to stir the jar again. Let it sit for 10 minutes. That's it. No lab coat, no science. You're just a country girl in her kitchen. If you're tired of these stores taxing your pockets for stuff that you can make at home. If you want a non-toxic home, grab my cleaning book and comment clean, and I'm going to send it right to you. Why pay for
Free bleach. There it is. Learn something new every day.
And she says to me, Mr. Champion, you have this website name, nontaxpayer.org. What is a non-taxpayer? I said, so first of all, ma'am, that is not coined by me. That was coined by a federal court in economy, plumbing, and heating. So you can ask the court. However, I said, I think there's an easier, faster way to determine the meaning than by having to dig out that case or go to that court. I said, the definition is a 267701A 14, right. Any person liable for any tax contained within this title. I said, so a non-taxpayer is any person not liable
Yeah,
for any tax
simple.
Contained within this title.
Very simple.
Dude, you should have seen the look on her face. The look on her face, the pristine simplicity of just adding the word not into that definition blew her mind.
It really is that simple. There's no other way to even if you wanted to describe it in some other way, you really couldn't. It's really the only option.
I'm talking to this.
Went over how demanding accounting from the child support agency is the cleanest and simplest route to get your child support terminated, especially if you owed arrears. We went over the full scope of federal laws that support this position. Here's exactly how to demand accounting. First, you want to send a demand for accounting letter to the child support agency. And in most states, they have 5 to 10 business days to respond. This is supported by the Privacy Act. When they don't respond, you send a motion to compel accounting to the courts. So you file that into your case. Then you're going to do a writ of mandamus. A mandamus compels the court to act when a legal duty is being breached. And then you file a demand to stay. This is going to cease all enforcement activities against you. Passport holds, your license being suspended, garnishment, your taxes being intercepted. It's going to put a stop to all of that. Then you're going to demand restitution because now you can get credited for overpayment. If you need the full manual and templates, comment, equity, or support, I also provide coaching throughout the entire process. The service is not automatic. We have to get on a courtesy phone call to understand your situation in order for me to determine if I'm even able to help you. In the last
Restitution. Right? So you got restitution right there. See, restitution falls in a lot of different places. They want us to be stuck on history. In history meaning slavery. See, reparations, restitution, they want to think, they want us stuck on slavery, but they just want us stuck in slavery or what we consider to be slavery by what the movies talk about or what these so-called these media streams and these historical type of what you would consider to be channels on cable or what slavery is. but there's always slavery by another name. So just make sure you guys understand that. I'm trying to work on this Instagram. Let me check this Instagram thing real quick. Where is it at? There you go. Am I still live? Am I still live? Okay, say in live video. Am I live? Am I live? Yep. I see my thing pulsating over there. Showing it from over here and the thing. Yeah. All right. I see the little click with Richie Rich on there. All right. Well, let's go. Let's continue. So this is what I'm talking about in terms of restitution. Repair, restore. There it is. Repair, restore. And as he was talking about, as just an example, child support. Right? Then there's another example that we talked about in regards to the previous one, which was taxes. It's got to be restitution on some of these things that has been taken out based on positions that we was put into under the guise of a taxpayer or a participant or a custodial or non-custodial parent, all these terms that they provide that they're making money off of through our identifying numbers that are attached to our names. Those are the things that we need to break down, not just civil rights and the Civil War and slavery, and that is a category. You've got categories going over 160 years, at least 160 years. We can start right there because it's full documentation on that per se, but it's there. But if you really want to get down to it, we definitely got records over the last 126 years. Definitely we got that. All right, let's get back to it.
Most people have never heard of 18 USC 241, and that's exactly why coordinated rights violations keep working. You don't need one dirty actor. You need two or more people working together to interfere with your constitutional rights, and that's where 18 USC 241 comes in. This is the federal conspiracy against rights statute. So let's make this plain. If officers, prosecutors, or other officials coordinate to crush your rights, to set you up, to hide evidence, pressure witness, to cover for a bad search, or to punish you for exercising your rights, that's not just misconduct. That's the kind of conduct federal laws were written to target. Now, here's the part most people miss. You cannot walk into court and personally prosecute 18 USC 241, but you can use the same facts to attack the case. How? Number one, use it to support suppression. If they coordinate the stop, search, warrant, or statement, attack the evidence. Number two, use it for Brady and Giglio. If they hid bias, deals, lies, or prior misconduct, force it onto the record. Number three, use it to prove this was not a mistake. It was an agreement. So next time the government says it was an error, ask the real question. Was it an error or was it a plan? Learn how to spot conspiracy, attack the record, and make your next move your best move. Follow Supreme Decision. Most people have never heard of 18 USC 240.
Okay, so there we go. 18 USC 241, make notes of that. We will get to that as well. He talked about 241. That is conspiracy against rights. You also have 242, which is deprivation of rights under color of law. And that is deprivation of rights under color of law. You also have 245. You also, in that 18 USC is your federal criminal code. All right. You also have Title 42, which is along the lines of the Civil Rights Acts and things of that nature, pretty much everything civil in nature, where then you have both ends covered. 1983 is deprivation of rights under color of law. Civil. All right. We'll get more detail.
Government doesn't have to prove this charge the way you think. They don't even have to prove the plan fully worked. They have to prove one thing, an agreement. Let me explain conspiracy to commit stalking. It's one of Dirk's charges. I don't think it's what your brain pictures. Because I think when you hear stalking, you think of like someone outside of a window. The federal version is different. Conspiracy is not the act. It's the agreement to do the act. And the government drew a very specific window for this. They say it began no later than November 6, 2020, the day that King Von died, and ran all the way to 2023, 3 years. So the government isn't just pointing out one night. They're pointing out what they say a group of people agreed to do over 3 years. And the proof of that agreement is built out of words, texts, messages, things people allegedly said to each other. When the charge is an agreement, the whole case becomes about interpretation. So not did this happen, but what did those words really mean? Think about it like a group project in school. One kid does the slides, one kid does nothing, one kid just sat in the group chat and didn't even say a word. But when the project fails, everyone in the group chat gets called into the principal's office. Even the kid who did nothing, because he was in the group. That's what a conspiracy charge does. It pulls everyone allegedly in the conversation and asks them to answer for everything. In Dirk's case, the government charges 4 people with this count and says others known and unknown were in it too. And here's what should sit with you. These agreement charges, these surveillance charges are being aimed hard at young Black men from the same neighborhood. The same words in a different group would be just called talk. In this group, it's called a plot. Is the difference who's being looked at? I'm attorney Jasmine and I practice in LA. These are my opinions and not specific legal advice. And here's my question for you. If just being in the group chat can make you responsible for the whole project, how careful do you have to be about who you stand next to?
All right. Well, that's Attorney Jasmine on Instagram. She in California. Might want to look into her, see what she got going on. See how much she really know. All right, let's get to the next one.
They called the police in case they need.
Okay. This is Susan Bassey. Today we wrote an article in the Vanguard News Group about the millions of dollars family court judges award to a small group of attorneys they appoint to represent children during those children's parents' divorce or child custody case. There is no constitutional mandate for such appointment, and these attorneys are making more than criminal defense attorneys in most cases. And we're going to continue to follow the money, such as the millions of dollars paid to the law firm operated by Heather Allen and Ava Martell, as the courtrooms they worked in didn't have court reporters and no historical record of the work that they did, work that taxpayers and parents paid attorneys to represent children, and we're not really sure what they did. So I hope you'll keep following our work, because this is happening all over the state of California, and there should never be attorneys representing children in family courtrooms when we don't have court reporters and cameras are not allowed.
So, another lane right here. Did anybody know that? Nobody knew. But they got attorneys coming in there representing children. Got to think about that. We're going to turn the corner just a little bit real quick. Something you might want to look into.
You've been wanting to buy land and don't know where to start? Follow me, okay? I got 5 sites that can get you some land for as little as $1 today. Let's go. So the first site I recommend is cheapland.com. The second site I recommend is USAA.gov. The third site would be landcentury.com. The fourth site will be landmodo.com. And the fifth site will be bidforaccess.com. If you want more tips and tricks on how to buy land as a beginner, please like, follow, and comment land if you want a guide to how to get started living on your own land like me. See y'all later.
All right.
What really happened in the Great Depression is we were transitioning from a gold standard that created limitations on how much money they could print and how much debt they could take on, because it was a 20th of an ounce that backed $1. So 20th of an ounce, they could print $1. When they legalized the Federal Reserve, now that same 20th of an ounce, they needed flexibility. So now 20th of an ounce, instead of backing $1, back $2.40. And that's exactly what they did. So when you look at the purchasing power chart, number one, that was when they converted corporate debt into our money, right? We had the $20 gold coin was the original. Then they converted it to that because this is so inconvenient, so heavy to carry around. They put the Federal Reserve notes, so the pure corporate debt instruments, in the system. Every single one of these bills has the same nominal face value, $20. All of them are $20. Today, this has, I think I probably paid $5 for it because I don't pay for this stuff. I'm not willing to pay a lot for it. This is somewhere around market value of like 5,000 or 5,500 or something like that. Still not reflective of its true fundamental value. And how much can you buy with this $20 bill? Right? So they printed all that money. And this was also the first time when they were shifting the US from really a farming community to a consumer-driven economy. So now in the 20s, they pumped all that almost 2.5 times more money. I have all the proof on this. 2.5 times more fiat money, introducing the debt money into the system. And that's what created the Roaring 20s, because there was so much new money out there that, that could trickle down. And the middle class for the first time had access to credit. Okay, so what really happened in the Great Depression is we were transitioning.
So you see how these things are just tying together, right? When you look at when you look at what I've been talking about even prior to this video showing up, that what they were actually doing in order, and they did that through executive fiat, right? Or what you would consider to be an executive order. That is the executive order for the removal for gold. But just keep this in mind. Keep this in mind. Because that executive order doesn't really line up Let's do this one first.
400 regular people just generated $47 billion in legal claims against government executives and corporate officials, using the government's own rules.
That name creates a merchant. So it's a merchant name so that they can treat you as a merchant. Going back into the Middle Ages, if you understand how merchant class works, so the merchants were a class of people or beings, if you like. They're now called bankers, but originally they were called merchants, and then they were called merchant bankers, and then they got rid of the word merchant. It's like a little light in the darkness. Well, hey, what's that over there? Because law merchant is what governs the world, and they don't want anybody knowing that. They'll let us talk about admiralty and human rights and even constitutions and etc. As long as you don't mention law merchant. Once you understand that law merchant is running everything and that they have turned you into a merchant, you need to start acting like one. When you start acting like one, that's when the game is now balanced. It's out of balance because they've turned us into merchants but didn't tell us that happened, and they didn't tell us how everything works. So our signature on pieces of paper is being turned into money, which all the merchants do, but we're turning it into money for them. We don't understand what we're doing.
400 regular people just generated 47 billion.
Now, I'm going to play this again. It's pretty quick. I'm going to play this again. Just keep in mind the word law merchant.
$1 billion in legal claims against government executives and corporate officials using the government's own rules.
That name creates a merchant. So it's a merchant name so that they can treat you as a merchant. Going back into the Middle Ages, if you understand how merchant class works, so the merchants were a class of people or beings, if you like. They're now called bankers, but originally they were called merchants, and then they were called merchant bankers, and then they got rid of the word merchant. It's like a little light in the darkness. Well, hey, what's that over there? Because law merchant is what governs the world, and they don't want anybody knowing that. They'll let us talk about admiralty and human rights and even constitutions and etc. As long as you don't mention law merchant. Once you understand that law merchant is running everything and that they have turned you into a merchant, you need to start acting like one. When you start acting like one, that's when the game is now balanced. It's out of balance because they've turned us into merchants but didn't tell us that happened, and they didn't tell us how everything works. So our signature on pieces of paper is being turned into money, which all the merchants do, but we're turning it into money for them. We don't understand what we're doing.
400 regular.
All right. So those listening, right, Rich, when we talk about blank endorsement, special endorsement. All right. So at this point in time, what do we have? Well, we have restitution. We have reparations. We have law merchant. We have endorsement, as he signed his name. We have accounting, requesting full accounting. We have non-taxpayer versus a taxpayer. It's another word. It's called recoupment. Okay. We also have what is considered to be 18 USC 241. Let's just say 18 USC. We have 42 USC. We got 1983, 241, 242, 245. 83, we got 42 USC 1994. All right, so that's where we're at right now. Okay. All right, we got one more. So we got two more. Let me go ahead and mute up real quick.
This man is about to simply break down taxes.
So what happened was about 100 years ago, they crashed the stock market and then they pulled the currency back, which caused the Great Depression. Everybody thinks the stock market caused the Great Depression. It didn't. It was the pulling back of the currency. There wasn't enough to go around, and it slows everything down. So that's what they did. And then they forced countries and governments to go along with this central banking system where the bankers are lending money instead of the government actually printing their own money based on the, the size of their economy. They're lending money, and then they want the principal back plus interest. And then the security for that loan is the people, because that's all there is. You have to pledge all of your citizens that they are now voluntarily working for nothing in order to pay this back. That's the premise of it. So that's what income taxes are. And this is why you can't find income taxes in law, because it has nothing to do with law. It's literally commerce. Yeah.
This man is about to simply break down taxes.
So what happened was about 100 years ago, they crashed the stock market and then they pulled the currency back, which caused the Great Depression. Everybody thinks the stock market caused the Great Depression. It didn't. It was the pulling back of the currency. There wasn't enough to go around and it slows everything down. So that's what they did. And then they forced countries and governments to go along with this central banking system where the bankers are lending money instead of the government actually printing their own money based on the, the size of their economy. They're lending money and then they want the principal back plus interest. And then the security for that loan is the people, because that's all there is. You have to pledge all of your citizens that they are now voluntarily working for nothing in order to pay this back. That's the premise of it. So that's what income taxes are. And this is why you can't find income taxes in law, because it has nothing to do with law. It's literally
commerce.
Yeah.
This man.
All right. So, okay. So, yeah. So, Rich, you there? All right. So, cool. So, we just having these things in order, right? So, he pretty much just kind of locked that down. What's up, big dog Philly? Yeah, I went early today, big dog. I got a lot to do. But what I'm attempting to do also is see if we can keep this going, and then we continue after for another 2 hours up to 5 o'clock, because I know at 2:15 I got to be doing something. So hopefully we got people that can come up, hold it down. Maybe, maybe not. If not, then this will be a short one. That's why I'm going quick. All right, so now we got all these things together, Rich. So just keep me on point here with these terms, so that way when I come back, I can drop them in there and we can come. I'm gonna clear this screen. We're gonna go on a whole nother screen. So that way all this stuff ain't lined up. I'm gonna keep these up here though. I'm gonna keep that guy up here because he pretty much got right to it, and the non-taxpayer. So we're gonna focus on that. So I got this one. This is just something from my man Richard Pryor. Maybe y'all heard of him, maybe you haven't, but he said something nice. I like to end it off with this. Did y'all catch that? He said they already know about pimping because we the biggest hoes they got. Yeah. You book it. Now, let me pull this down just for a quick second. Let me check this Instagram. This is too much work. Instagram, you still there? It says in live. I guess I am still there. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's moving. It's moving. All right, so look, we're about to get to it. Let me go ahead and pull this screen down. Let me stop sharing. Let's do this. Let me let y'all know I'm real, not Memorex. You know what I'm saying? What's happening, y'all? What's going on? How my hair looking? Natural. Yeah. All right, so check it out. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna let me close these things out. I want you guys to get a clear view of. I'm going to leave him up there too. Let's leave him. No, we don't need to leave him up. Oh, yeah, let's leave him up there too. Let's take that down. Let's take that down. Let's take that down. Let's take that down. All right. So what we're going to do is I want you guys to kind of get a clear look of the first thing that we're going to do. I'm going to share my whole entire screen. I'm going to keep my video up so you guys can take a look. We're going to share the whole entire screen. You're going to actually see me look through my files, find things, and give you a little sneak peek of how I get down. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to go first to this right here, right? We're going to go first to this guy.
Cyrus Attorney.
That's awesome.
And she says to me, Mr. Champion, you have this website name, nontaxpayer.org. What is a non-taxpayer? I said, so first of all, ma'am, that is not coined by me. That was coined by a federal court in economy, plumbing, and heating. So you can ask the court. However, I said, I think there's an easier, faster way to determine the meaning than by having to dig out that case or go to that court. I said, the definition is a 267701A 14.
All right. So here it is right here. Well, before we do that, we'll come back here. We'll see exactly what that means. Okay, so there's 7701A-14 refers to the definition and classifications related to tax law in the United States, specifically under the Internal Revenue Code. This section helps clarify terms used in tax regulations, including what constitutes a taxpayer and other relevant entities. Now, what we can do is, let's go here. Here are your definitions. This is the Cornell Law School website, law.cornell.edu. Come down here, you can pull up all of the different codes, regulations of any sort that you might be looking for, mostly federal. Rules of civil procedure, everything. So let's go to the notes. All right. So the references in text, right? Part A and Part B of Title I of the Housing Act of 1949. Now, what does the Housing Act have to do with this? Okay. Now, when you come over here, you come up under subchapter 2 of Chapter 8A of Title 42, the Public Health and Welfare. Right? It says we're omitted from the code pursuant to Section 5316 of Title 42. Remember what Title 42 is all about. This is where you get your civil rights, civil claims, Title 42, 1983, 84, 85, 86, 88. You also have Title 42, 2000D, lowercase d. That deals with anybody that's 2000D is most time is that a lot of people don't talk about. So if you're listening, apply this as well. Title 42, 2000D deals with any department, agency, whatever, within these states that are getting federal funding. Cannot discriminate. We're going to pull that up. Okay. So here are the notes right there. When you look at authorities is everything. These U.S. codes are enforcement. Authorities come from Treasury, right? So if you look at Treasury regulations, right? If you look at CFR, it's going to say ECFR, which are Treasury regulations. These regulations are your authorities in order to get funding. So the funds come from the Treasury, right? These funds come through the Treasury to all of your United States and sub corporations or states funding. So it's just like a 501c3. And a 501c3, if you are not in compliant, they will pull your funding. What is the compliance? One of them is Title IX. That deals with discrimination, and mostly Title IX. They expanded that to deal with women in sports, right? Women in jobs, those type of things. You know what I'm saying? The equal playing field in the workforce and in sports, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so in order for these people to function properly, they must follow the guidelines, and those fall mainly within Title 42, being in that civil department, right? So if they violate that, they get their funds pulled by the United States. It's the same thing if when back in Board versus Educate, Brown versus Education, all that stuff, Board of Education, and the other type of things that was going on during the 40s and 50s, I don't remember the years. And then they had to bring in the military, the United States military, the Army. Because you're getting federal funding, and this is what a lot of people leave out. You're getting federal funding from us specifically for these protected people, what you want to consider to be Black. Because they are a protected people, not just nationally, but internationally protected people. And you guys are not controlling your citizens. Remember, we talk about the treaties, your citizens. Since you're not doing that, we're coming in. So just leave it right there. So let's look at the definitions. The definitions, when used in this title, were not otherwise distinctly expressed or manifestly incompatible with the intent thereof. Look at all them big words. The term person shall be construed to mean and include an individual, a trust, estate, partnership, association, company, or corporation. So the term person, that's what that means. Now, remember, we're focusing on this right here, right? We're focusing on these guys, and we're talking about the codes in regards to what he's talking about, a non-taxpayer, right? This is why he's saying he's a non-taxpayer. And I don't know if you guys know, there is a non-taxpayer Bill of Rights. You have taxpayer Bill of Rights, and you have non-taxpayer Bill of Rights. All right? Let's make a note of that. So let's come back over here. Title 26 of the United States Code is the Internal Revenue Code. It's the Internal Revenue Code dealing with the Internal Revenue Service. So these are the codes that the Internal Revenue Service has to follow. We're not on CFR right now. These are the authorities and regulations, right? We're not in there. We're specifically on enforcement. So in order to enforce these things, you enforce them against these people. These are instructions. If you don't do that, then you're in violation, right? So these are the term person. These are the terms person. If they use the word person, individual, 1040, individual income tax return, trust, estate, 1041. These are your tax return forms if you don't know. 1041, partnership, association, that will be your 1065. Limited liability partnerships, limited liability corporations. Limited liability corporations and the partnerships file what is to be articles of association. An individual, in a sense, will be somewhere along the lines if you have a DBA or what you would call a sole proprietorship. Excuse me. Company or corporation, those are what you will call your 1120. Those is 1120. And this is just based on my research. All right. So this is how I'm giving it to you. Just based on my research. So this is informational that you can use. All right. Now, your company corporation, you got 1120 and you got 1120. You got 1120 regular, and then you got what is considered to be 1120S. You got 1120 REIT, when that REIT is considered to be a real estate investment trust. All right, so that's your categories, all dealing with taxation. That's why it's under Title 26. Now, when you get into all these specific definitions, right? So you have number 2, partnership and partner. And when you break these down, this is how you get into your details of what we got going on here. You guys can read that. You guys can read that. Domestic, you guys can read that. Foreign, fiduciary, stock, shareholder. That is what you consider Title 26. I'm going to copy it and I'm going to put it in the chat. And I'm going to put it. Okay, peace. Big Dog Philly OG. Big Dog Philly OG. Big Dog said, damn. Hey, how you doing, Sister K Glover L? All right, I'm about to put the link in the chat in a minute, but that is the code that we're looking at here. All right. I'm going to put it also in the Instagram as well. Boom. All right. So, hey, if you guys, the link to the link to the YouTube, let me put that in there because I think this thing only lets me go for like an hour. What are we on right now? 56 minutes. Let me put this in the chat real quick. Where are we at here? Let me break it down real quick. Where is it at? All right, let me go right here. Boom, boom. Let me put this in the chat so you guys can get that. This is a lot of work, man. This is too much work actually. Is it worth it? I don't know. But hey, do what we do. All right, so let's add it back to the stage. All right, so look. That's what you have right there. Now, let's get on to the next one, right? Let's get on to the next one. Because I got to move quick on this. I want to put this in the chat so we can have some time to build. All right. Let's start over. Let's go here. Now, this is dealing with the child support.
This video, we went over how demanding accounting from the child support agency is the cleanest and simplest route to get your child support terminated, especially if you owed arrears. We went over the full scope of federal laws that support this position. Here's exactly how to demand accounting. First, you want to send a demand for accounting letter to the child support agency. And in most states, they have 5 to 10 business days to respond. This is supported by the Privacy Act. All
right. So let's go here. We're going to stay on the same one. Let's go all the way here. Boom. All right. So boom. All right. Let's just go right here. UCC. This is the Uniform Commercial Code 9-210. Now, this is a way you could do it here, right? Whatever state you're in, I'm in California, they have uniform, they have these codes within the state too as well. So you cover state and federal, right? So in California, the dash is just taken out. So it's California Commercial Code 9210 instead of 9-210, 9210. Now he's saying within 5 to 10 days in certain states. Right under 9210, depending on how he's requesting, demanding the accounting, it doesn't really have to be a demand. It could be a request. Right. And these documentations, right? If you look right here, this is blow it up a little bit. This is 9-210. This is Uniform Commercial Code. Request for accounting request regarding list of collateral or statement of account. Right. So right here, it says record. Means a record of a type described. Request for an accounting means a record authenticated by a debtor requesting that the recipient provide an accounting of the unpaid obligations secured by collateral. So, record authenticated by a debtor. All right. The request regarding a list of collateral means a record authenticated by a debtor. So, if I authenticated the record, the authentication, it says I received it, and that record is what I have in my hand. I need a full list, and I need a full statement authenticated. Now, most of the time, what they'll do is they'll come back and say it's self-authenticating. Okay, so if it's self-authenticating, how is that? Did I, by me authenticating it and saying that it is record? So, on top of that, we need to know who the debtor is. So when we look at the term definitions, what a debtor is, what is a debtor? What is a debtor? Okay. A debtor means a person having an interest other than a security interest or other lien in the collateral, whether or not the person is an obligor. Ain't that something? So wait a minute. I have an interest in that child support, in that whole accounting, what it is. I have an interest in that. Nobody knew that. So if I got an interest in it, other than a security interest or other lien, so whatever that other interest is, that's a whole different story. Now, on top of that, we have the key word here, person. I don't want you to leave that word person. We already know what that means under Title 26. You have also definitions of what person means in other different titles in dealing with the United States Code of Federal Regulations. But let's just deal with what we have right now within the tax code. Right? In the tax code, it's an individual, corporation, association, company, limited liability partnership, trust, estate, or limited liability company, or what they consider to be an association. All right, so that's what a debtor is. B, a seller of accounts, chattel paper, payment intangibles, or promissory notes. Remember, under Article 5, right, of UCC, right, the definitions, 102, an applicant is one that issues a letter of credit, right? Also, we talked about the Negotiable Instruments Act, promissory notes, so on and so forth. So we got that straight. We don't need to go back to that. So when you go accounts, chattel paper, payment tangibles, or promissory notes, they all mean the same thing. They all mean the same thing, depending on where you're at in your jurisdiction. Okay? So they all mean the same thing. All right, or it says, or a consignee. So let's go back up here. What is a consignee? We have a consignor and we have a consignee. Means a merchant to which goods are delivered in a consignment. Remember what this guy said right here, right? Remember what this guy said? Remember what this guy said? Remember what this guy said. Let's come here. Where is he at? Boom.
A merchant. So it's a merchant name so that they can, that name creates a merchant. So it's a merchant name. So that,
right? A merchant. So a consignee means a merchant to which goods are delivered in a consignment. What is in consignment? Means a transaction, regardless of its form, in which a person delivers goods to a merchant for the purpose of sale, and the merchant deals in goods of that kind under a name other than the name of the person making delivery. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Think about that. So remember what this guy said. Remember what we said earlier about the person. So deals and goods of that kind under a name other than the name of the person making delivery. If you look at one thing that he left out is the fact that when you look, if anybody's under, that's been under or is under child support, the bill that they send you has principal and interest, and that name under there is considered to be, well, let me back up a little bit. At the top of that bill, there's going to be 2 to 3 identifying numbers. There's going to be a CSE number, and there's going to be a case number, and the third one is called a participant ID number. And that name that's going to be up there is considered to be the participant. Just think about that. Can't give you all right now. We got to stretch this out a little bit because we got to move along. All right? Coming together? All right. Let's come down here. Let's come down here. Let's see if there's anything else I want to look at. Is there anything else I want? Oh, there it is. Letter of credit right. Let's see what that means. Letter of credit right means a right to payment or performance under a letter of credit, whether or not the beneficiary has demanded or is at the time entitled to demand payment for or performance. You remember when we was looking at the murder situation with the young man that got tried and convicted in a jury of not his peers in a city, in a location where it didn't happen, with a judge and a district attorney that was related. I digress. But anyway, performance was in there. Payment was in there. But let's continue. The term does not include the right of a beneficiary to demand payment or performance under a letter of credit. The term does not include the right of a beneficiary to demand payment or performance under a letter of credit. Now, how was they able to switch that? What does that mean, Coach? What that means is they flipped the positions. If I'm issuing something, right, I issue the identification numbers. I put up everything, right? On top of that, you have the mama over there and you have the baby. They have 3. They have 3. 1, 2, 3. And they got 3 identifying numbers of how many? 3 or 4? So how can they demand payment? Because they're pretty much the beneficiaries of this thing. They're the one getting the money. We're paying it out regardless of what happened. It's all a part of our sweat equity and the chattel, whatever that we talked about in that consignee. Because when you look at your bill, look at the bill. The billing statement tell you it's principal and interest. They have all these things, and you paying more interest than you are principal. You're paying double. Let's say your principal is $75. Just give a low number. Your interest is you're paying is going to be double that. Now let's keep going. Let's move this around a little bit. All right. I don't want to stay there too long, but you guys get the idea. There's mortgage. There's mortgage. All right. Proceeds. Promissory note. We're going to come back to this. Just want you guys to look. This is, and you guys read these definitions. I'm going to start getting y'all involved. Like, I ain't deboing you, but you're going to get involved. Yes, you are. You are going to get involved. Bam. We put it there. We'll come back here. Okay. They disconnected it. All right. What's going on, Reclassified? What's going on, brother? There is Law Cornell. There's your 9-102 definitions, and then we'll come back to 9-102. Now, when you come down here to the bottom, right here, this is the best way to get them. Federal is good. State, they're all working together. Good luck. Because in the circumstances what you're dealing with child support and everything that's going on in the state, they're actually getting federal funding and they're operating in uniform, right? They have a constitution in uniform with the federal government. All the states are. And all their funding comes through that. Now, in here in D in 9201, not my bad, 9-210 of the Uniform Commercial Code, they got 14 days to respond. Now, what you can also do is put the California code or your state code, 9-9210 over here, and anywhere it might be, how they got it lined up in your state. So you can cover both ends of it. All right. So there is your 9-210. That is a request for authenticated statement of account. Now, let's go back up. Since I read you these definitions, who is the debtor? Right. Now we know who the debtor is and who the creditor is. Believe it or not. Know it to be what it is, what it's saying right there. Who is the debtor and who is the creditor? All right. Now, what we're going to do is, I think we boom, 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 boom. All right. Let's come back here. Let's get with this guy real quick.
41. And that's exactly why coordinated rights violations keep working. You don't need one dirty actor. You need two or more people working together to interfere with your constitutional rights. And that's where 18 U.S.C. 241 comes in. This is the federal conspiracy against rights statute. So let's make this plain. If officers, prosecutors, or other officials coordinate to crush your rights, to set you up, to hide evidence, pressure witness, to cover for a bad search, or to punish you for exercising your rights, that's not just misconduct. That's the kind of conduct federal laws were written to target. Now,
all right, so that's good enough. So let's just say for an example, reparations, restitution. Would that young man, Carmela Anthony, under what I just showed, is entitled to reparations and restitution? Does he have a case for a claim under Title 18 U.S.C. 241, and we're about to go to 18 U.S.C. 242 first. What does it say right here? Whoever, under color of any law, statute, ordinance, regulation, or custom, willfully subjects any person in any state, territory, Commonwealth, possession, or district to the deprivation of rights, of any rights, privileges, or immunities secured or protected by the Constitution or laws of the United States, or to different punishment, pains, or penalties on account of such person being an alien or by reason of his color or race, then are prescribed for the punishment of citizens, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 1 year or both. And if bodily injury results from acts committed in violation of the section, or if such acts include the use, attempted use, or threatened use of a dangerous weapon, explosives, or fire, shall be fined in this time of prison not more than 10 years or both. And if death results from the acts committed in violation of this section, or if such acts include kidnapping or attempt to kidnap, aggravated sexual abuse, or an attempt to commit aggravated sexual abuse, or an attempt to kill, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned for any term of years or for life or both, or may be sentenced to death. Now, what we're going to do is, hold that thought. We're going to come back over here and we come 241. Now we're going to come backwards to 241. This is conspiracy against rights. If two or more persons if two or more persons conspire to injure, oppress, threaten, or intimidate any person in any state, territory, in the free exercise or enjoyment of any right or privilege secured to him by the Constitution or laws of the United States, or because of his having so exercised the same, or if two or more persons go in disguise on the highway or on the premises of another with intent to prevent or hinder his free exercise or enjoyment. All the same things there. Shall be fined under this title or prison for any term of years or for life or both, or may be sentenced to death. All right. At the least, in prison not more than 10 years or both, and fined. All right. Now, why did you put an emphasis on kidnapping, Coach? Because that's what they did under the color of law. They kidnapped that young man under the color of law. Also, in disguise on the highway. What is the highway? Well, look it up for right now. Or on the premises of another with intent to prevent or hinder his free exercise or enjoyment of any right or privilege so secured. Now, all of a sudden, Child had that free exercise or judgment or enjoyment of any right or privilege. He didn't. Carmelo Anthony didn't. But they came on his premises and kidnapped him and hindered him. And with intent to cause harm to that young man and anybody else around him if they got in their way. And I'm pretty sure more than one showed up. Reparations and restitution is there. It can happen. Now, as we looked into murder, right? And then what we did was we looked into what was these. We looked up malice. Malice. Okay. Let's come over here. Malice and libel and slander as to privileged communications. Malice involves an evil intent or motive arising from spite or ill will, personal hatred or ill will, or culpable recklessness or a willful and wanton disregard of the rights and interests of the person defamed. Why do you think they didn't want his brother to get on that stand? Because they was going to wear him out on the fact that he is the one that's been raceless, showing hatred, personal hatred, and ill will, and already done it. And already had a wanton disregard of that young man's rights as a brother, a so-called black man. So was that really self-defense? Or even better, wasn't he just protecting himself? Now, what was the other part of that? Implied. Where did implied go? Okay, there it go. 984. Then we offer that. Wait a minute. Hold on, y'all. All right. So where are we at here? Implied. Right? So implied, the word is used in law as contracted with express, whether the intention in regard to the subject matter is not manifested by explicit and direct words. Now, when you come down to as to implied, and this is where we went into these other terms: abrogation, agreement, assumption, condition, confession, consent, consideration, contract. This is what we have here. We also have obligation, powers, trust, use, waiver, and warranty. So everything that this guy has said, right? What this guy has said, and we come back over here to this guy.
They can treat you as a merchant. Going back into the Middle Ages, if you understand how merchant class works, so the merchants were a class of people or beings, if you like. They're now called bankers, but originally they were called merchants, and then they were called merchant bankers, and then they got rid of the word merchant. It's like a little light in the darkness. Well, hey, what's that over there? Because law merchant is what governs the world, and they don't want anybody knowing that.
And is about to simply break down taxes.
So what happened was about 100 years ago, they crashed the stock market and then they pulled the currency back, which caused the Great Depression. Everybody thinks the stock market caused the Great Depression. It didn't. It was the pulling back of the currency. There wasn't enough to go around and it slows everything down. So that's what they did. And then they forced countries and governments to go along with this central banking system where the bankers are lending money instead of the government actually printing their own money based on the size of their economy.
So if this is what we're working from, reparations and restitution, right? Let's get to it. Let's get to it. Everybody in there, cool. All right, I'm almost done. Where am I on? Hour 20. I mean, outside of the things that I've been showing, I've been doing pretty good. I think I'm on less than an hour. I think I'm on less than 60 minutes. All right, we moving. All right, so what we're going to do is let's look at let's go to reparations. We're going to go to reparations. We're going to go to restitution. Then we'll try to figure out if this can match. Because here's my thing. And I'm about to say this. His attorney is going to be the defendant. He getting sued too. All of them getting it. 18 USC 241, 242, 42 USC 1983. I'm pulling in 85, 86, 88, 245. I'm bringing in a lot of different things. And I'm bringing in 18 USC chapter 77. I'm bringing the whole gamut. And I'm about to show you what that says. All right. This is what we're going to, you got 28 USC 454. I'm talking about judges, attorneys, clerks, everybody's involved. In the guise of what you would consider to be a crime, of what they say, murder. Anyway, let me stop. Get off your soapbox, homeboy. All right, here we go. Let's go to reparations. All pirates, yes, they rabbi. Anyway, here we go. Now, let's see what this means. Now, let's see what this actually means if we can make sense of this. Let's see if we can do that. All right, we're going to go straight to reparations first. This is how deceptive these people have been the whole time. Black's Law Dictionary, this is an interpretation of what they consider to be reparations is. A redress of an injury, amends for a wrong inflicted, right? So the redress of an injury, semicolon, and here's another way to say it on the next line. Amends for a wrong inflicted. Okay? That's it. So where do we go to get the extension of what that means? We go to repair. We go to repair. Now look, repair, to mend, remedy, restore, renovate, to restore to a sound or good state after decay. Injury, dilapidation, or partial destruction. That young man, does he have that? Does he have that? Does something need to be mended? Does remedy sit anywhere? Is there something that needs to be restored? Is there something that needs to be renovated? Yeah. What needs to be mended? The wrong that was done, the violations, all the things that happened in that small circle of what went on at that time. My lead defendant is going to be the one that represented me. My attorney, that's the first one on the list. Number 2 is the district attorney. Number 3 is the judge. That's what I'm doing. In their capacity, in their individual, in their official capacity as officers of the state of Texas. In all caps, incorporated in whenever that year is. And then I got those 1 through 100. You don't know who else is involved. Me, I live the officers out at this point in time. But those are my does. Once we get into the whole details of how we're going to go about doing this. Now, the other mending is, hey, we got to mend this relationship. Oh, we treated you as this, as a ward of the state. You and your mother and father, we took control over everything, right? We subrogated this thing. That's a whole nother conversation. The remedy is monetary. Everything in the system that had him out to be this one thing, erased, permanently deleted, sealed. All investments, securities, other things taken out, and these personal and financial interests these people had, any monies that anybody received to carry out this act. See, this is when the police officers, this is when the sheriff, police officers, everybody come in. You're talking about even the jail, everybody, any number that they have, run them all. What is there something in there that needs to be restored? His reputation. That needs to be restored. His reputation. That means that nobody at no point in time, whether it be the school, whether it be anybody that's in an official capacity that's getting federal funding, state funding, local funding to provide services for the people as a servant, can't shit, burp a fart, cut an eye, do anything behind that young man or his family or anybody else for that matter. And they're going to think twice about doing it again. What needs to be renovated? Again, his whole persona, his whole reputation needs to be renovated, needs to be brought back up. His mentality, everything that he went to needs to be brought back up because they never going to be able to take that. They can't remove that out of his system. That's never going to leave. He's always going to remember that sale. He's going to remember those cuffs. He's going to remember those pictures. He's going to remember all the stuff these people said. He's going to remember all that stuff between them two dudes. He's going to remember all the stuff these people said on the wires. And they're going to be, them as your does. Every single news, every single TV channel, every single person that puts something out there, you're not hiding under the First Amendment. Use a damn lie. You're not hiding under no First Amendment rights or whatever to say whatever you want to say. No, because you had full knowledge. And I know you had full knowledge. You remember what Trump did? You had full knowledge. Because most of you people come out of law school of some sort, some social services, political science, social science, civil engineering, or some type of shit that you guys know. So don't act like you don't know. And don't act like you ain't did the same thing at the same time. You did nothing about that child. You said nothing about child, but you said everything about him. At the same time, child was getting off. You didn't say nothing about that. You said something about that young man. Now, this ain't emotions. They say, oh, we about to get out there and jump around, act a goddamn fool like some of them niggas was doing on TV. It ain't gonna bust nan great. You don't have to worry about it. Watch this. So that needs to be written. Now, so the comma, to restore to a sound or good state after decay. So mend, remedy, restore, renovate. Those pretty much run as synonyms. They work together. So basically, in conclusion, to restore to a sound or good state after decay, injury, dilapidation. And all those do apply in the sense of them terms. So that's repair. So when you come into reparations, there you go. That little small little thing right there. But that is what you want. Repair. Now let's go to restitution. Let's go to restitution. Boom. Boom, boom, boom. And then that's where we're gonna be at. Okay, so restitution. An act of restoring. So now we know where we need to go. Okay, we got to go to the root. Restore. Restoration. Restoration of anything to its rightful owner. The act of making good or giving equivalent for any loss, damage, or injury and indemnification. So this is where your indemnification comes in, right? You can't touch me no more. I'm indemnified from all those different things. You can't bring it back. It's been damaged. There's been injury. There's been loss. What can you give in equivalence of that? You do a whole segment. You make every single media channel apologize and say what was going on at that time and clear the thing. I know I'm talking big, but that is what's supposed to happen. Because they still are under the impression that they're guilty, that young man is guilty. The mama, the daddy, and everybody else, based on what is being presented to the public all the time. This is what they're doing. This is what they're doing. Let's go to restore. Let's go to restore. Where is it at? Restore. Restitution. Restore. Where is it at? Hold on. Let's lower this a little bit. Hold on a little bit. Let me clear my throat. Getting a little bit too excited here. All right. Restore. Restore. I don't see it. Restrain, restore, restore. Right there. Restoration, restore. Just a bitch. Man, I guess they don't have restore in here. But that's restitution. This is what we have. Restore. It's not in there. Could have swore it was in there. All right. So the the restitution, repair, reparations is in there. But the agreement, the consent, that is what makes that is what indemnifies. I guess I can use that word. That is what indemnifies these people from doing anything or not being charged with anything. The same thing that happened during them shutdowns, where they have people sign these waivers to indemnify them, hold them harmless. And this is what the same thing that's going on, your signature and everything. This is what, people think is just dealing with a contract of a sort of what you consider to be commercial or business-wise, but it's bigger than that. Way bigger. Way bigger. Now, what I'm going to do is I am going to, I'm going to remove that. Close off the video. And put the link in the chat. I'm going to put the link in the chat. And anybody ready to come up can do so. We pretty much started at what? 12:15. Started at 12:15. We had the streams, which pretty much lasted with the music. That pretty much lasted another 30 minutes. That's about 12:45. So let's say 12:45. So yeah, we did all right. It's pretty much a good hour. Let me put the link, pin the link to the top. You guys got to come up quick, because if not, I'm shutting it down early. Got a lot of business to handle. Oops. Yeah, pin some. There we go. All right, so let's do this real quick. All right. So this is where I'm gonna end it off at. Since I'm talking again, nobody, I'm not gonna let anybody up. All right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go over here to, am I up? Yeah, my screen's up. We're gonna go over here to 18 USC chapter 77. Hold on, I don't need to do that. I could just come right down here. 18 USC. All right. So this is 18 USC, section code chapter 77, part 1, peonage, slavery, and trafficking. What we're also going to pull up right here is Title 42, USC 1994. All right. We're going to pull that up. Now, this right here, what I'm going to show you right here, and through these two codes, I'm going to start with this one, right? This one, I mean, when I found out about this was crazy. This kind of blew my mind. It took me into a place where I was like, wait a minute, how did I miss that? How did I miss that? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to read this off to you. This is 1994, peonage abolished. I read you 241, 242, or read off these other definitions. If anybody at this point in time thinks that this is not a slave state, good luck. You have two positions to operate from within the United States as they like to see it. Servant or master. However, in the sense you want to consider to be servant and master, that's where you're at. There's never been a proletariat or middle, what you call middle income. Is you here or you here? That's it. And people actually think that it's about the dollar of your level. But if that's the way you look at it, so be it. Now, let's read this. Peonage abolished. Let's go to notes. RS subsection 1990, derived from Act March 2nd, 1867. So everybody knows what happened in 1867. Chapter 187, 14 Stat 546. Section was formally classified to Section 56 of Title 8, aliens and nationality. Interesting. All right. You guys can go ahead and do that. I'll put the link in the chat so you guys can have that for yourself and look it up in more detail. But for the sake of time, I'm not going to read that. All right. So Title 42, Section 1994, the holding of any person to service or labor under the system known as peonage is abolished and forever prohibited in any territory or state of the United States. Now, when people go to prison, don't they say you're going to serve your debt to, or what is it, how to say? You're going to pay your debt to society? You're going to serve time? All right? Just think about that. This says peonage is abolished and forever prohibited in any territory or state of the United States. And if you see that red, white, blue flag with them stars, that means it is a territory or state of the United States. The United States does have full occupation, and they're receiving funds. All right. So it says, in all acts, laws, resolutions, orders, regulations, or usages of any territory or state, which, don't worry about it. It's just, I don't do this a lot, so my voice is weak. Which have heretofore established, maintained, or enforced, or by virtue of which any attempt shall hereafter be made to establish, maintain, or enforce directly or indirectly the voluntary or involuntary service or labor of any person as peons in liquidation of any debt or obligation, or otherwise are declared null and void. Now, you remember when I showed you these definitions, right? Remember when I showed you the definitions? Well, we have right here implied. We went from murder to implied. And then we had those other definitions where we went to assumption. Right? So we got murder right here. We went to killing. Okay. So we went to killing. Where is that at? Where is that at? All right, let's just go up here real quick. We're going to go killing, implied, assumption. Shoot. JK. L. JK. Jeez. All right. So we have to deprive of life, to destroy the life of an animal or person. Remember, we have person here, right? An animal. The word homicide expresses the killing of a human being. So they didn't get him for homicide. They got him for murder. All right. So we go to implied. That is 983. Just to go back to it so you guys can get a clear idea where I'm going with this. All right, so we got applied right here. So as to applied, abrogation, agreement, assumption, condition, confession, consent, consideration, contract. All right. So we also have assumption. So that's 233. Okay. So we have assume, to pretend, to undertake, engage, promise. We have also taken up, receiving, adopting, taking to oneself, or to put on deceitfully, take appearance of, affect, or outwardly seem. To take on, become bound, or as another is bound, or put oneself in place of another as to an obligation or liability. Assumption, he undertook, he promised. A promise or engagement by which one person assumes or undertakes to do some act or pay something to another. Remember Title 26, right? It is implied where the law infers a promise from the conduct of the party or the circumstances of the case. He's paying a debt. He's paying a debt, and it has been abolished. Abolished. Now let's go see if we can find peon in here. I never looked to look up peon in this situation. Let's come down here to peon. 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 N-O. There's penal. There's penal. Let's look at penal real quick. Punishable, inflicting a punishment, containing a penalty, or relating to a penalty. Penal action. An act upon a penal statute. An action for the recovery of a penalty given by statute. An action which enforces a forfeiture or penalty for transgressing the law. The term penal is broad than criminal and relates to actions which are not necessarily criminal as well. The term penalty in its broad sense is a generic term which includes fines as well as other kinds of punishment, but in its narrowest sense is the amount recovered for violation of the statute law of the state or a municipal ordinance, which violation may or may not be a crime, and the term applies mostly to a pecuniary punishment. The word forfeiture is frequently used in civil as well as criminal law, and it is also used in actions for penalty. Money. Money. Let's go to peon. Be here, please. Be here, please. There it is. Now watch this. Peon in Mexico. In Mexico. A debtor held by his creditor in a qualified servitude to work out the debt. A serf, that's Webster. In India, a footman, a soldier, an inferior officer, a servant employed in the business of the revenue, police, or judicature. Peonage, the state or condition of a peon as above defined. A condition of enforced servitude by which the servitor is restrained of his liberty and compelled to labor in liquidation of some debt or obligation, real or pretended, against his will. Reparations and restitution. Reparations and restitution. Now, that should be self-explanatory. So, the holding of any person in service or labor under the system known as peonage is abolished and forever prohibited in any territory or state of the United States. So, if you have, in what you would consider to be, this was Proposition 6 that they had in California, that was overturned, which was going to remove other than a crime. It was involuntary servitude abolished. And then it says except for a crime. But it was going to remove that last part out, and it was going to say involuntary servitude is forever abolished. Just like it says right here. This hasn't been repealed. So if you have that language in the Constitution and has been overturned by the state of California, that means what? The Constitution is invalid. In any other state that has that in their constitution, their constitutions are invalid. Now, you guys can run behind this republic and this constitution all you want. But this is where they can't function in the matter because they know their constitutions are null and void. As it says right here, it's forever abolished. So if you have that in your state, that means your constitution is null and void. And they say, yeah, we're operating from the Constitution, but we're operating from a Constitution that's null and void. We're operating from some secret canons. We operate from some secret Constitution and articles that are null and void and have no standing. Hold on, let me plug my thing up real quick. Yeah. Okay. All right. Now, let's get over here to back to 42. Right? We're going to come down here, Title 42, 2000 and D. Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? Was it 206? Okay. All right. Now, this is your civil rights right here. This is civil rights. It's all civil rights. All of it. All of it. We're going to go right here. Federally assisted programs. Federally assisted programs. Across the board. Reparations, restitution. You sitting there stopping me from coming to a college or whatever. I got to take an ACT and an SAT. I got to do this. I got to do that. I want to go to that school and I want to learn there. Why are you stopping me? I should be able to go to that school. Now it says prohibition against exclusion from participation in, denial of, benefits of, and discrimination under federally assisted programs on grounds of race, color, or national origin. Know this. No person in the United States shall, on the ground of race, color, or national origin, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. See, people think this is just a part of just schools and all that. No. No. This right here, if they are receiving federal funding and they are receiving and they are providing a service, it says no person in the United States, no person. This is how you can attack them in their individual capacity, in their official capacity. Because it's saying no person. And we see what that person is. All right. Now, let's go back. Let's go back. Let's go right here. Subchapter 1, 81 through 80, 94, 96. There it is. 1985, conspiracy to interfere with civil rights. 86, action for neglect to prevent. 87, prosecution of violation of certain laws. 88, proceedings in vindication of civil rights. 89, United States magistrate judges, appointment of persons to execute warrants. 90, marshal to obey precepts, refusal to receive or execute process. 91, fees, persons appointed. All this needs to be known. and we're going to go over that tomorrow. We're going to go over that tomorrow. But let's come here real quick because we still got to come here with this one. And this is where we're going to end off on 18 USC section 77, chapter 77. And going back to the Title 42s, everybody go there. Nobody comes here to 18 USC because the criminal acts are to be enforced. The other acts, the civil parts of it, is the money part. So you attack both ends of the spectrum. So here we go. Peonage, obstruction, obstructing enforcement. Whoever holds or returns any person to a condition of peonage or arrests any persons with the intent of placing him in or returning him to a condition of peonage shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 20 years. 20. Let's go. Vessels for slave trade. Oh, how does this apply? Well, know what a vessel is. Whoever, whether as master, factor, or owner, builds, fits out, equips, loads, or otherwise prepares or sends away any vessel in any port or place within the United States, or causes such vessel to sail from any such port or place for the purpose of procuring any person from any foreign kingdom or country to be transported and held, sold, or otherwise disposed of as a slave, or held to service or labor, shall be fined under this title of prison not more than 7 years. That's 20 and 7. We on 27 right now. Well, you're talking about a vessel. Well, remember what this guy said. Remember what he said? Law of merchants, law of the sea. Yeah. Stay with me. Let's go to the next one. Enticement into slavery. Oh, how does this come in? Enticement into slavery. Remember 42 USC 1994, peonage abolished. Voluntary or involuntary. So this is, remember, on the what I said about the billing statement that you get from the child support. You got a participant ID number, and that name on there that is considered to be the name is the participant. And remember, they got 3 of them. They got the baby, they got you, and they got the mama. All right, say whoever kidnaps or carries away any other person, okay, with the intent that such other person be sold into involuntary servitude or held as a slave, entices, persuades, or induces any person to go on board any vessel. Now, what do we mean by go on board any vessel? Well, are you thinking about a ship? No. You got police cars. You got paddy wagons. You got them entice you to get out yours, right? So the other one said, your kingdom, in your automobile, in your abode, on your land, that's your kingdom, believe it or not. And they want you to come out of that. As soon as you come out of that, boom, they got you. Now, let's go here. Straight there. Shall be fined 30. That's 30. So that's what? 20 plus 7, that's 27 plus another 30, that's 57. All right. Next. Sale into involuntary servitude. Okay, so you get out. So Carmelo Anthony got out the house. He came to the house. We have a warrant, or we need to, boom, need you come out that house. I need you to put your hands behind your back, and I'm gonna put you over here into the house. And I'm into this vessel, which we call a police car, and then we're going to carry you over on the seas to lockup. We're going to do the prints. We need you to sign here. We need you to promise. We need you to accept. We need you to do this. We need to set this contract, and then we push it over here. But that warrant, that warrant, is the security. And who made the who issued, right? Who issued the proposal? I'm going to use the proposal, or something that will be accepted. Say, okay, let's create this security. We have enough information. We could go off the assumption and presumption, the assumpsit of that, and we go that way. Boom, everything already lined up. And then there's a selling of that. Now, on top of that, in the situation where he had his own attorney, was that attorney involved into the sale? The district attorney obviously was. The police officer is the one that actually drew up the police report and did it in a certain form of fashion to be considered to be commercial in nature. All right? So that is... Okay, so whoever knowingly and willfully holds to involuntary servitude or sells into any condition, any or of involuntary servitude, any other person for any term, or brings within the United States any person so held, shall be fined under this title or prison not more than 20 years. So now we on 77. For chapter 77, that's 77. 20 years. Can these be proven? Absolutely. Absolutely. Seizure, detention, transportation, or sale of slaves. Yeah, we pretty much covered that. Okay, so whoever being a citizen or resident of the United States and a member of the crew or ship's company of any foreign vessel. What's the ship's company? Can it be the Department of? Can it be the state of? Incorporated in, right? You go into a courtroom, you see the big seals in the back, state of Texas, incorporated in 18 something something. So yeah, that covers how many? 7 years. So that's 84. That's 84 years, y'all. 84 of them. Would they give him 35? Okay. Yeah. See your 35 and I'll raise it. How many more? So this is service on vessels in slave trade. Whoever being a citizen or resident of the United States voluntarily serves on board of any vessel employed or made use of in the transportation of slaves from any foreign country or place to another shall be fined under this title prison no more than 2 years. Okay, so that's 86. All right, so how does that fit? Transportation, we already got the transportation that's been moved, right? So he's been moved from this place to that place, to that place, to that place, right? We all don't know, but yeah, you've been moved from your kingdom, your land, your house, to that car, to that police vehicle, to the county lockup, fingerprints, everything, sign here, booking numbers, boom. Then you've been transferred back. There's bail that need to be paid. So you pay 10% down, or you've been put into the possession of the rightful authorities, the executor and executrix, or custodians over you. And then you travel to the court, which is also equal to considered to be a bank, BANC. You have that issue. Now you also have to pay for a bar attorney who now has created instruments as well on you as well. Then from now or 35 years, you're going to be you're going to be moved to another location. So that means every single, remember 18 USC 241. Conspiracy, what this guy said right here. Right? What that guy said right here. Every single person that came across that young man is in. Who said hi to him, who looked at him, who did anything is a part of it. Why? Because they all know. And if they don't know, you're negligent. So you still get it. So that's 2 years. Possession of slaves. Okay, 2 years. So that's 88. No, 84. No, that was 86. Yep. So here we go. Possession of slaves aboard vessel. Whoever being the captain, master, or commander of any vessel found in any river, port, bay, harbor, or on the high seas within the jurisdiction of the United States, or hovering off the coast thereof, having on board any person for the purpose of selling such person as a slave or with the intent to land such person. That's another 10. That's 96. Bingo. At 96. I see you're 35 and I'll raise you 96. Hold on. We might not be done. And whoever being a master or owner or person having charge of any vessel. Yeah. That's another 10. That's 106. All right. Forced labor. Yes. That is how many years? How many we got on that? How many? Ooh, this is long too. Yep. 20. So that's 126. Trafficking with respect to penile slavery, involuntary servitude, or forced labor. Yeah. That's 146. That's 20 years. Sex trafficking or children or by force, fraud, or coercion. Maybe you put your hands on me. That's considered to be molestation. You touch me. That's abuse and molestation. Why? Because you're not my mother and my father. You're not my wife. You're not my husband. Whatever it might be, whatever, man, woman, or whatever. You put your hands on me. You put my hands behind my back. That's force. That hurts. Then you got me sitting on a hard seat in the back of that car. I mean, that's what I heard. I ain't never been in the back, but you know. Just saying. That's 126. All right. That's 126. Unlawful contact with respect to documents and furtherance of trafficking. Oh, yeah. With respect to documents. Oh, yeah. How much is that? How much time? Okay, 5 years. So that's 131. Mandatory restitution. Notwithstanding, and in addition to any other civil or criminal penalties, we got 42 USC 2000D, we got 42 USC 1981, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 88. We got 1994. We got also 18 USC 241, 242, 245. We also have 28 USC 455, 454. We have a lot of different codes, 18 USCs in regards to the clerks. We also have Penal Code 118.1, which is false statements in a police report, false police reports. We have Penal Code 453, something like that. Should I keep going? I think that's enough. The order of restitution. The court shall order restitution for any offense. Shall, not may, shall order restitution for any offense under this chapter. The order of restitution under this section shall direct the defendant to pay the victim through the appropriate court mechanism the full amount of the victim's losses as determined by the court under paragraph 3 of this section. An order of restitution under this section shall be issued and enforced in accordance with section 3664 in the same manner as under 3663 as used in the full amount of victim losses. Yeah. And overtime guarantees of the Fair Labor Standards Act. Damn. There we go. We are going to come back to this. 10 minutes over my time, y'all. 10 minutes over my time. So, is it far-fetched? Only to those that can't comprehend. Only of those that are afraid. Only of those that give all of the power to somebody else and have no power for yourself. Yeah. So, with that being said, since nobody came up, I got to roll. Can't nobody hold it down for me. Hey. Hey. On the next one. All right, so just getting these things together. You know, we're gonna end off with what we end off with. Appreciate everybody come up here, people that was there, people on Instagram, people who might be on Facebook later. If you guys got Facebook or whatever, you know, all you gotta do is hit up Aton-Yah L. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram. What is it? Just look up NFNT_ability. NFNT_ability. I'm not really Instagram. I just go that to find content. But you can look it up. I'll put it in the chat. It's NFNT_ability. Find it there. All right, that's where it's at. Let me pull up my mans and them. Let me pull up my mans and them. And pull up my mans and them. You know what I'm talking about. That's that young man. Go by the name of King Chameleon. Pull him up. Then we'll have my close out. And yeah. We'll have King Chameleon. We'll have King Chameleon, and then we'll have Copper Draco. And then we can go ahead and end it off right there, all right? Appreciate everybody coming out. When these songs is over, it's over. You already know what time it is.
We want freedom by any means necessary. Yeah. We want justice by any means necessary. We want equality by any means necessary. We don't feel that in 1964, living in a country that is supposedly based upon freedom and supposedly the leader of the free world, we don't think that we should have to sit around and wait for
all of your assets you have to protect it. Just set your trust up, come get your status corrected. Yeah, you know we moving more than mountains. Fuck your school, fuck your voting system, fuck your water fountains. Melanin, I know you heard of me. You can never murder me. I want that gold you owe me now and gold from 1933. I want y'all to stand on all of the treaties that you sold to me. Cause we was already here, y'all came on a boat to me. And know this God-given land we all holding fee. Simple, absolute gratitude, your majesty. I am not in my straw man, you not controlling me. Certified, signed, sealed, stamped by the notary. Don't try to lie to my face like you ain't just a colonist who tricked us with contracts, but you fail to acknowledge it. And history books of fertilizer, one big pile of shit. Acting like you freed us from slavery, but ain't abolished it. The plantation just got renovated. Driver's license and passports are the new slave papers. How they foreclosing on the ones they gave acres. We allowed them entry, even trusted them as neighbors. They took everything from us and made us ask for favors. And posed as the only helping hand that's there to save us. Boycott, don't try to keep up with the fad. Cause the money that we save, the properties that we rehab. Monopoly with the bad. Tears don't fall from my eyes. Cause they see our what, but they don't see our why. You was born in June, but I only seen July. Influenced by bad spirits like a DUI. You ain't do no estate planning, but you think you fly. Now we gon' need 3 fish fries to see you die. We the revolt, boy, don't play with me. The time is now, this royalty over slavery. Damn.
I hear that verse again.
Hello? Listen, I did everything you told me to do. What? I was fine. Don't move it. Don't move it. Don't move it. Yeah. Don't move it. Don't move it. Don't move it. I'm the coach, quotes coded in oak with a ghost loaded focus. Chrome in the coat, king with the cloak, smoking that hocus pocus. Infinite styles, pivot and pile up the mileage. I'm wild with the science. You see the line on my avatar, iron jaw pride. I to devour the silence. Why you niggas steady lying? Got me laughing hard, satire and fraud. I fire the squad. Wives get crossed when I'm sparring with all the guards. Author of art, carving a mark in the bark of the market at large. Target the sharks, heart of a Spartan. I sharpen the margin with bars. You rather bargain and dodge. I'd rather you come get your taxes done. Black suit back, room facts in a stack. I'm relaxing the maximum. Get out of the pocket, the profit of rocket. Then I just might tax you punks. Bracket your funds, I'm stacking in chunks. Reacting to acid, you're begging a punch. Sometimes my community hard-headed, scarred, dreading the lessons. I chart head and start spreading the message embedded in pressure. Sobbing living, I'm private with it. No corporate percentage. Discharging debt with a pen stroke. You still don't notice the vision. I've been telling y'all you don't want to debate me. Weighty and ready. Great with machetes, linguistically shredding the petty. Grab these 15 acres. Landscape major, plan made paper. Land patent stamped and sacred since my campaign greater. I ain't talking about Ice-T when I say that I can show you law and order. Court recorder, I sort the torture, contort the border. I eat the case, beat the state, leave a trace of the raw supporter. Briefcase aura, got your baby mama thinking that I'm a lawyer. Seminole Indian sentiment, militant on sovereign soil. Private enrollment, tribal component. I'm the boss if you're trying to employ it.
Gosh, baby, infinite.